Good evening. I think a few more people has to join. I don't know. Today is holiday. Whether they will join or not, I don't know. So today is a festival, no? So I think. So what we'll do? So we'll wait for some more time, or we'll start. Maybe they can see the video, recorded video. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Shall we start now? What
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let them join. So what, before starting the session, I think I have created another one. So I gave the access to this one. So what I was trying to do is actually like the live classes will be the longer duration, correct? So videos will be of 2 hours and kind of like that actually. But I'm trying to create shorter videos just to help you to refresh the sessions. It's like, so now all these sessions, what we are trying to take is a 2 hour session, and watching 2 hours video will be a little bit like a difficult, and what topic is covered in that. Like, so what I'm trying to do is actually uh, every topic. So take one topic, any topic. Like for example, if I'm trying to take if statement, so then I will be making one video on the if statement only. If else, like if else and if else, else if actually. So only on one topic I will be creating. Maybe it may be of 10 minutes, it may be of 20 minutes, it may be 30 minutes, it may be a maximum 1 hour. So it only discuss about one topic. So something like that. So I'm trying to create subject wise. So this is one I'm trying to, this is about the Python classes, actually lessons of Python going on. So I created videos. So how will be there? There will be videos and relevant to that file. Like it will be all uh, live kind of a coding or whatever it may be, depending on the topic. So the coding file which I have used actually, it will be there. And for this topic, there will be quiz. So there will be quiz actually. And on this topic, what kind of problems we can get and solving that problem. So what I'm trying to do is actually uh, to help you to refresh it faster. So one on topic, one on video, short videos actually. So you can watch anytime when you forgot actually, like for example, after some time, because this is a 3 years kind of, no, 2 years or 3 years kind of thing. So you keep on how to refresh. Sometimes you'll forget. No, so I'm trying to create this short videos of per topic wise, and you should be attending. And what happens actually per subject, I will be conducting 4 exams, and all these exams will be quiz plus coding kind of things actually. So quiz plus coding or something like a case study or project. It is not a there won't be any theoretical kind of thing. Anytime you can take per subject, you can take 4 exams anytime. So whenever you are comfortable, when you wanted to refresh, you can take it. And what I will be doing is actually, since Python is very important, so I will be trying to solve what kind of interview questions will be coming up. It's like for every subject, like what kind of interview questions will be there, how to answer that questions actually. So it's like subject wise, like say for example, if Python programming, so then what all the important questions will be there and how to answer that. And if there is a programming kind of question, like for example, Fibonacci series, right? How to write that kind of program and how many different ways you should be. All these things will be per subject wise, I will be trying to create. And everything is a short videos. So you can watch anytime, and so that like you practice that actually, like whatever we are saying. So this is about like selecting, like, so one video is only on the Fibonacci series, how to write a Fibonacci series. One video is on only what is the difference between for loop and while loop. One video is only about for loop, one video is only on the while loop. So something like that. So I'm trying to create short videos so that will helpful for you. Is it good? So you feel that this approach is good for you, or it is let it be like the same way? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this I'm trying to create one on subject, one on class actually, and I'm trying to put. So I just created this. So you keep watching this. Like, so I think other people are not accepted it actually. So you may be getting a accept invitation from Google Classroom. So you should be accepting this. and you should practice this. Like, so this will be the only about short videos. Maybe sometimes it may be 10 minutes, maybe it may be 30 minutes or 1 hour. So more or less like that. So this is what I'm trying to do. And in the last class, what we have done is actually we have done up to what is called for loop is done, or so set, list, tuple, all those things we have done. Input, output we have done. And we were supposed to do something, one more concept called import. Did we do import? Okay, so one is import, another is the for and while loop. Actually, these two things we will be covering today. So any questions in the previous sessions, like in Python programming? Anybody, like I think only few people has done assignments. I think you should be doing the assignments. And Python programming is very, very important, because rest all we will be doing on the Python only. So all this remaining thing. So if we study statistics, we will be doing that in Python only, or Excel sheet, using Excel or statistics. Anything further we are trying to do. So even in deep learning, whatever it may be, it will be completely based on the Python. How good you are in Python, that much easy for you to write the code. So fine. Okay. So let me start with import concept. Actually, this is also one more important. What I will do now. So I will start first with for loop and while loop, because since we already covered some extent for loop and while loop. So then after the gap, actually, like I will cover at the end import thing. So it's fine. Is it fine? Okay. So let me start with for loops. So we already, okay. So we already know about loops, correct? So we did control statements. In control statements, we did if statement and we did for loop actually. So let us revisit for loop, since it was some time gap was there. So we'll try to revisit, because since these loops and if statements will be most oftenly used to write a program. So I'm trying to revisit that actually. So first the for loop. So how the for loops looks like. So for, and then there is a loop variable. The loop variables, like it can be anything, in and iterables. What is meant by iterables? Iterables means like something which can be iterated. So for example, any collection. So if I say collection, what is collection? Is a number of elements in there, correct? Any variable with lot of number of variables. So that if you are able to get one by one means like, so means like I am trying to access one element after another element, another element, another element. So like that, if I'm able to access, then that is called iterable. Iterable means like, so any variable which has multiple elements and I'm able to access one by one. So that variable is called iterable variable. Is it clear? The word iterable. So now, yeah, any question? Okay. So what is that iterable? So now what is that syntax of for loop looks like? So first thing is a for. So what is this for? So this is a keyword. For is a keyword. And here this should be variable. So which variable? Which variable? In is a membership function from this iterable. Means like from this iterable. Iterable means like it is a list, something which you can do. Means this value will be something from this iterable. Means like, so initially assume that like it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this for loop is, what is that for loop? It will loop over a period of time. Means like, what is the for loop actually? So in a sequential, if you take the sequential execution, it will execute one by one by one by one by. When I say loop, after this end, so again it comes back actually. So how many times it can loop? So depending on how many times you set actually. So means like instruction, when I say, let me go to the loop statement. So diagram. See, this is how. So this statements, whatever it may be, 1, 2, 3, how many, whatever it may be, till the loop end is reached. Means like item end reached. These statements keep on repeating. Means like it is not exiting. So these statements, it may be one statement, it may be multiple statements. So body of the for loop. No, so it may be one statement or multiple statement. So below the for loop. So what happens actually? This is a for loop thing, and there is a condition. So this condition is whatever some condition. So these statements will be executed till the condition is met, or like, so in this case in the for loop in Python, so this will be continuing. If assume that like it has three statements here, so these three statements so will be executed till if iterable has 5 elements, correct? Now it's like these 4 statements will be executed first for x is equal to 1, then first when x is equal to 1, this whole statement will be executed, then x will take value 2, then all these statements will be executed, then x will take 3 value 3, then whole statements will be executed, then x will take 4 values 4, then whole statement will be executed, and x will become 5, the whole 4 statement will be executed, and after that there is no element left in that iterable. So there is no element left in the iterable, means like then it will come out of the for loop. So this is the for loop. So in Python, the for loop is dependent on what is called how many elements are there or how many elements are there in the iterables. So till that time it play. And another thing is actually like, so it will, this variable now after for whatever it may be, this is a user defined variable. So user defined means like you can define anything. So there is no relationship between this. So it can be any variable, just like in C programming, I is equal to 1, something like that. It's a dummy kind of a variable. So, and this iterable should be there. It should be defined one. It is not already defined one, or you should be defining here. So it has to be there. It has to have value. And thing is like it will allocate 1 by 1 value. This is how the difference is there. So the structure is, if you look in further actually, apart from that, like, so just like every block statement, it will end with colon, correct? So here also it will end with colon. So there will be colon will be there. So there is a colon will be there. And see, for this x and in the iterable, and this is a colon, then this is a body for something. And if you see here, actually, there will be some gap. So there will be some gap here. So if you want to see some sample program, so let us go to some program. This is a structure of for loop. So we'll try to write a simple code. So now what I'm trying to create, I'm trying to create a list. So what is a list? List is a iterable because so many elements are there. Now I created. Now what is this program is for? To calculate a sum of all numbers in a list. Means like if somebody asks, actually write a program to calculate the sum of the values in the list. So first I'm trying to create a list because I have to create that list, correct? Because I have to hold those elements, numbers, correct? So now since I have to calculate sum, so I'm assigning sum is equal to 0. Because first sum is equal to 0, then 1 by 1 I should be editing. So now since I have to 1 by 1, see what is the sum actually? I have to add. So I have to add first sum is equal to 0, sum plus 6, then sum plus 5, then sum plus 3, sum plus 8, sum plus 4, sum plus. So this is how I should be adding. So best kind of what is called statement I should be using for this is a for loop. So because that is built for that kind of things. No, so what I will be doing for value in numbers. Number is a iterables, correct? So in numbers. Now means like what happens? This value will get one value from this list. So now and then what I'm trying to do in the statement, what I'm trying to do is actually in the for loop block, sum is equal to sum plus value. So initially it will be 0, and then it will keep on adding. And another thing you should be very much important, you should be noting down, in any programming, any questions, in any interviews or like campus interviews and everywhere, so they will give some sample codes actually, like something like this. They will give something and then ask you to find out what is the output. So now one is to explain this for loop also, and how it is working, and also you can start iterating that. How should we do actually? So for example, in this case, for I'm saying, and val is there, and in the number. So in number is there, correct? So now how many elements will be there? So here that will be there. Now what? How should I iterate this actually? I should iterate like so initially. So I should say sum. So this is one variable is sum, and now another variable is val. So what happens actually, initially sum is equal to 0, correct? So initially at that point, sum is equal to 0. Now the val, what happens actually, val will take one value. What is that value actually in this sequence if you look into? So 6, so this is the values, correct? 6, 5, 3. So what happens actually? So first val equal to 6. So then what happens actually after that? Val is equal to 6. So it's like valuation value becomes 6. Now I'm trying to modify this sum. How I'm modifying? Sum is equal to sum plus 6. So then what I'm trying to do is actually this sum will be, because of this sum will become 0 plus 6. So then sum will become 0. Now next what actually, okay, this is done. So one iteration is done. So next again after that it will continue. Then val will take another value. What another value is a 5. So then what happens actually, like I will be writing value is equal to 5 here. So now when value is equal to 5, then I will come inside. So still, because still there are so many elements are there. No? So now I'm coming here, and then what I'm trying to do, sum is equal to, what is the next statement? Sum is equal to sum plus 5. So I'm trying to add that. So 6 plus 5 is equal to 11. The sum will become 11. So this is how I should be iterating. One is one variable, another side another variable. So you keep on, because this way if you try to practice it, actually you won't be able to miss how the what is the exact value. One is the programmatically you can calculate, but sometimes whenever they are testing it, actually they won't allow you to write a program and execute. Actually they will ask you to find out the output. So you should be trying to do like this. So what is the next actually? Then 3. So then val will become 3. So what happens actually after 3? Then you will be adding it. So 11 plus 3, sum becomes 14. So next another value. So another value. So what is the other value? Like for 8, 4, 3, something like that. So you can't keep on hitting. So when you end up actually, like last, when you say value is equal to 11, so you already added all those things. Then that sum plus this 11 is the final sum. Then after that, actually, val doesn't get any value. So it says actually iteration is empty. So there is no elements in an iteration. So it will come out of the loop. So if it will come out of the loop means like the next statement. So if you see here, actually, this is outside the for loop because it is starting at the same location. So this is one tab for the for loop. It's like this statement belongs to the for loop, but this statement is not belongs to the for loop. So it is outside the for loop. So now it will execute this actually. So what is that actually? When you say sum is equal to, so now already we calculated everything. I'm trying to print. So for loop is used for this kind of operations. So it's like for loop is used to do this kind of operations. No, and if you see actually, this is a colon. So if you miss the colon, or if you miss that doing this alignment, actually it will give an error. So any mistake in that syntax, no, so it will say that like there is syntax is some issue, the syntax error. So anything mistake you do, so it is not able to understand, so it will give error. So it should be properly tabbed, and if you miss something here also, it will give an error. So syntax, you should be very perfect at the syntax, like so it will say that like I'm not able to. So all these errors are syntax errors, like so already I explained you, correct? So this is how the for loop looks like. Any question here? Anybody's not understood this for loop? Okay. So the next thing is actually like, so I said no, list can hold anything. So you can do iteration over anything. So now question here is actually like this is the one. So can I only do something like this or some other approach of accessing the list? So one approach is what we have done actually in using in function, membership function. The another approach is actually I don't want to access this element value by value. I wanted to access this something some other way around. What is the other way around actually? How I will be accessing the list actually? If I'm creating a list you can access like so using in function. If I'm directly, then I'm trying to take one element. But another thing is actually list can also access by indexing, correct? So I is equal to 0 or something that like 1, 2, 3, 4 something. So now what I'm trying to do is actually I wanted to access this list using an index and how to write a program for that. So that is other way of writing the program. Same program, so same thing, like you can do for the same thing. The same thing if I have to convert into another way around. So how should I do that actually? Now, so let me first explain this and then I will rewrite the same code. So I'm trying to do, this is a genre is another list. So it has 3 elements. Now what I'm trying to create, I'm trying to create the range. So range is another function. So what is the range? Range is another function. It will generate the values. So range is another function method. It will generate the values. How it will generate the value? There is something like a start point, and there is something like a stop, and there is something like a step or something that like. So it is something similar to what is we see. So when I give something that like 1 and 10, so what it will do? It will start from like generates 1 to 9. So 1 to 9 it will generate. This is also end is not inclusive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 it will generate those number. Or if I say, if I'm not saying anything, if I'm trying to just give the one value. So if I give range, if I say range is equal to something, let me try with some practically show you actually, like that would be better. What I will do now. So one by one. Okay. So if I say range, and I'm just saying 10, so it will generate those number of values automatically. So it say same thing, just like indexing, it can only take one value, two values, or three values. So depending on how you are giving. So it is trying to generate. So I am trying to print the values in that. So it will try to generate those number and try to execute. So this is how the range will be executed. So but what happens actually, like to print the, okay, so the print the value, I should be putting into some places actually. Either I should be putting into a list or something. So what you generated should, because it is generating value, but I should be able to store somewhere else, correct? So that value should be stored somewhere else, and then I should be displaying that. So because the range is just generates, but it doesn't have a body to store that value. So it generates, but it needs to be allocated in some sort of collection, because value is generated, but it has to be stored. So every data has to be stored in some variables, correct? So that is how I'm using the list. But this is how range. If I say I don't want to start with 0, if I have to start with 1, so now if I give something like this, so it will be starting from 1. And if you say that like I don't want that like sequentially, I want something like this actually, then I will be trying to skip. So this is a step kind of things. This is how the range works. So what I'm trying to use actually, I'm trying to use this range to generate the index of like, so what is I'm trying to do? So I don't want to access the list using the members actually, but I am trying to access the list values using the index. So means I have to generate the index of the list. So because dynamically I have to generate the index of the list. For example, if I have to access this using the not as a member, no, so I'm accessing with index, no, so I should be creating index, correct? So this I should take that index now. Now here this I is not taking the value of this list actually. I should take the value index in that list actually. And how should I know that, like how many elements are there, what is the size of the list? Then the length will give me the size of the list. So means like to create the range of the index of a list. So means like I should know that like what is the size of list, correct? I cannot randomly create any list index. So if you are trying to create an index actually, so for example, if I create any list actually, L is equal to, and 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, and 4. So the index is actually up to 4 is there. So if you are trying to access it actually beyond that index, it will give an error. So for example, if I'm trying to access with something like a 5, so it will say that like it is out of the index, correct? Because that doesn't exist. Index error is coming up. So whenever I'm trying to access the list, I should also know that like what is the size of the list. So means like if I'm trying to create an index for the list actually, then I can definitely have to use the range, because the range is the only way I will be creating index. But I also need to know that like how much, what is the maximum index value I should be creating. So for that I should be using length, because if I say if I have to create range for this, like how should I do that actually? Now I will be calculating length of this actually, length of this L, and using this length of L actually, whatever I'm trying to create. Now I am trying to create something like a range. So I am trying to create a range of the size of length. So this one, and this I am trying to put into the list actually. Then now I am trying to create a iterable kind of things. So what I'm trying to create is actually I'm trying to create so some index. So I wanted to see that like how that index looks like. So what I'm trying to do is actually I'm trying to create a range of indexes for this one up to the length of that thing. So then what I will be getting is actually I will be getting all this index. So this index is valid index, correct? So it doesn't generate beyond that index. You can access, correct? So let me try with actually any of those values. So if I have to access L with 4, so because that is possible, correct? So I can access this. So because that is valid one. So whatever the index it generates, all these index are valid one. So all these index are valid one. So now what I'm trying to do here is actually in the code. So this code is actually the range, length, and genre. So what is it is trying to create is it is trying to create a list of indexes. So it is trying to create a list of indexes. How? We already know that, like, so this is how it is trying to create a list of indexes. So now I got the list of indexes. Now what is that is actually this program is getting changed something like this actually. So this program is instead of all those things, so it is something like this actually. For I in now it is not the range and everything. You got something that like 1 0 1 and 2. So like that is how the list is there. Now what happens actually, this I will take one value. First it will take I is equal to 0. So now I will become 0. Then next I will become 1. Then I will become 2. So I will become 2. So this is how I will take. So now I got the index, and index is well verified index because I'm now generating out of the index, like out of the index mentioned or valid for that list actually. So everything is fine. So now what I will be doing? So okay, now my thing this is done. Now I will try to access those list using the index. No, so now this I is not having this value, so it will be having the index. No, I will be accessing this like I should be use the list name and I should be accessing. So this is how I should be accessing. It's like if I have to say I have to write a simple program to iterate. So I have to iterate the list actually. Let me write the simple program. Two ways of iterating. This is one way of iteration. I can iterate actually one by one of another way of iteration. So this is one way of iteration. Now another way of iteration is actually same thing using the member function. So what I will be doing, so I'm not everything I'm trying to remove this actually. I'm just giving the genre. I'm just giving this genre, and now I'm trying to see I is having a value here. So this is also another way of iterating. So this is also another way of iterating the and printing the result. So what is that actually? This is one way of writing the output, and this is another way of writing the output, iterating the list. So any question, this is how I will be using for loop. For loop is to do iteration over the iterable object. So how we are iterating? One is directly using member function. Another one is using range and length kind of function. Using range and length and function. One way of I'm iterating. This is another way of I'm iterating. Any question here? Any question? Any question? Anybody is not understood this way of iteration? And I said no. So the range element. Any question here? Anybody is not understood? Okay. So
No.
yeah. So to go further, actually, like this is what I said. No, range and list and everything. This already I have explained other way. So initially, like so, same thing. The range and index. This is a step actually. You can do that. So now I understood the for loop. I understood the range. Now my question is actually, if problem statement is something that like somebody says actually print the number divisible by 3 between 0 to 100. If this is a problem statement, so somebody says actually write a program to print print only those numbers which are divisible by 3 and they are between 0 and 100. What is the problem statement? So you should be clearly understanding. So what he is looking for, I wanted a numbers which is divisible by 3. It's like I'm not interested in any other numbers, only numbers divisible by 3. And is it infinite numbers space? No. The space of numbers where I should be looking for is actually from 0 to 100. So when I say 0 to 100, means like this itself has to hint you that actually I am iterating over 0 to 100. So when I say this statement itself, it should hint actually. So print a number divisible by 3 between 0 to 100. This itself has to hint you that like I have to use for loop and I have to this number index. I should like number I have to generate from 0 to 100. Means like I have to use the range. So this you should be able to get it actually by just reading the problem statement. You should be able to get that. You should be able to get these two things. What is that actually? The number should be divisible by 3, and it should be, and when I say between 0 to 100 means like I should be using the range, because the range is the one which will generate that numbers. So what I should be doing? So now in this problem statement, first I should be generating number 0 to 100. Means like 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 99, because last is not then. So this is the number list I am trying to create. Now what I will be doing? So now if I say for I in, then means like I will take one element. Means like first I will become 0, then I will become 1, then I will become 2. So now what I will be doing? Okay, now I got 0 to 99. The one problem is done. What is that actually? The second thing, part of the problem, the number I should be printing is the number should be divisible by 3. So now I should be checking whether this I is divisible by 3 or not. How should I check? Modulus 3 is equal to will give something like this is divisible by 3 or not. So using these two, so you should be able to get these two things. Then you can write. So one is a for loop, I in the range 0 to 100, and if I modulus 3 equal to 0, 0, then if it is equal to 0, 0 means like this I is divisible by 3. So if it is I is divisible by 3, then I will be printing that I. If it is not, then I'm not printing. So else statement is not there, I'm not doing. So after that, then again the iteration goes. So when first I 0 comes, then it will check, and then again it comes back, and then 1. So this is how the loop works. So if you wanted to see that like how loop works, actually I said no. Still, if you are not confused actually, so you can use this one. So this is the visually you can see how the loop iteration happens. So you can try using this also. So you can try using this also, how the iteration loop works. So I don't want to do up to 100 because it's too much actually. I'm trying to do up to 10. So I wanted to see that like how this loop iterates visually if you wanted to see. So what happens actually? So this is what I will take value 0, then it will check. Then if it prints, if it is there, so then I will take another value. So it checks actually. So then again, so this is how the looping happens. You see that like how things are instructions executing. So this is how it executes. Fine. So any questions here? Any questions? Okay. So now another problem. So let me make another little bit more complex actually. So what is I'm trying to say? So I'm trying to say here actually, I will give a number. So I will give a number up to that, like instead of saying that like up to 100, I will give the range of the number up to that. You should be printing the number. What is that? Whether it should be either it should be divisible by 3, either it should be divisible by 5, but not divisible by both. So not, so whenever I say that like you have to iterate over some number, then for loop is the easiest one. So now how I should be doing? Now first I will be giving the number. What is the number? Assume that like I'm trying to give number 100. So means like this range will create 0 to 100. So now range is created 0 to 100. Now what is that actually? Okay, now I will take one value of 0 to 100. So that is what is done here. So what is this actually? Now my problem statement is actually I have to print the value of I if it is divisible by 3 or it is divisible by 5 or not both. So means like I should be checking whether it is divisible by 3 and not divisible by 5, or it should be checking actually if it is not divisible by 3 but divisible by 5. Only these two conditions I should be printing the value of I. So means like this is a combination of if and if else statement, for loop and if else statements. So using that you should be writing the code. So what is any question here? So this is how you should be able to, when you read a problem statement, you should be able to. And if you're not able to understand actually, so you take some sample things like sample examples, like so how should we, if you're not able to get that, so what is it trying to say? If I say that like number is equal to n, okay, now range is you are able to sign. So if it is 0 and 3, something that like 1, 2 or something, 0 has to be printed, 1 not to printed, 2 not to printed, 3 has to be printed, so 4 has to not be printed, 5 has to be printed. So it's like you should do that iteration and then come up the logic. But usually it is much more easier to understand. Whenever if you're not able to understand what logic you should be writing, then you can give some sample input and sample output. It's like what is the input and what is the output. So you have to take some sample values and see that like what is the input and what is the output. Based on that, you can try to create logic, whether you can get that logic or not. So any question here? Okay. Then the next thing is actually, can I do with the tuples? Like, no, I did with the list, that is fine. So because I need to do with the tuples also, no, for loop with the something. So can I do? So yeah, you can also do with the tuple also. So you can do the with the tuple also. So it works same thing. So tuple you already know, same logic. It will take one by one by one by. There is no difference. So any question here? I think this is the same as a list. So I'm not changing, I'm not explaining that. So I hope you understood it. So set, can we do with the set? Yeah, you can also do with the set. So the same thing. So because set also iterable, no? So it also has a iterable. So you can get. So it's like membership function. I'm not saying indexing. So I'm set, you cannot index. But membership means like I'm trying to get that iteration. Iterable means like it is not like indexing. It is actually like I'm trying to take one by one element. What is the one by one element I should be taking? Whatever the order it may take, but like I will take one by one element. So set also it works. So whether it works with the dictionary, because these are the 4 key kind of collections. So it can also work with the dictionary. So dictionary has 2 things. What is that actually? One is the key, another is the value. But if I just give the numbers, what will happen? So if you try to just give the numbers, what will happen is actually what you are getting is all keys. So values you won't be able to get by default these numbers. And if you give only one thing, membership function, this iterable will only give the keys of the dictionary. But if you are interested in the values of the dictionary, then here you should be mentioning that like I am interested in the values. Means like this value will be taking one value from that dictionary. No, it won't take the keys from the dictionary. It will take only from the values. It's like what happens actually. This is as good as like, so see, if by saying this is actually, it is as good as something like this actually. By if I have to say in a simple sum, it is as good as something like this. I'm trying to do just hiding here. So for here it is as good as. So only these things are there. For this, only these things are there. This. So it is as good as it has only the keys without mentioning values. So it is as good as this way. So it is something like this. So something like this actually. It is something that like list or whatever you can say. So this is as good as something like this. It will take one by one value. When I say just values actually, so numbers dot values, then it is as good as something like this. So let me write that also. So remaining all same. I'm saying that not exactly, but I'm as good as means like you think this how it is iterating. So it will consider something like this. Only values will be there. So remaining will be discarded. It is as good as something like this. So it, I hope you understood this, correct? So I'm trying to say that it is as good as something like this. So means like now it can only, you can, the value can only take the values from this. So it's like it can only take values from values 6, 5 or something like that. So this is how you can do. So fine. Any question here? And if you want both elements from dictionary, then you should be using something called items that we discussed in the dictionary classes. So items will give 2 elements. So now I should be taking 2 elements here. One is a key, another is a value, and order is same. Key value, key value. So this is always key, and the second element is always value. So same order. Like so in dictionary also now key value, key value. So key value. So it will be a same thing. So now I'm not interested in key because if I have to do sum of the thing, so I'm only interested in the numbers actually. So I'm only taking value and I'm trying to create. So you can do that also. or if you wanted to iterate and print the output of that, actually, like if you wanted to iterate that and just print key and value dictionary iteration, if you want to do. So I'm not doing some, actually I'm trying to print the what is the key and the value. So the key is I'm trying to print the key. This is the key. Then print the value. Print the value is. So I'm trying to print the value. So I'm just printing the value. No? So I'm printing that. So just I'm trying to iterate. I'm not doing anything iteration. So I'm not doing anything this one. I'm just iterating. So I'm trying to iterate the dictionary. So I'm trying to iterate the dictionary using the for loop. So I'm trying to do that, actually. I'm trying to print that key is this, value is this, key is this, value is this. So any question here? Any questions? Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next is actually like, so what are things we done? We understood for loop and we try to apply on the list. We did with the tuple, we did with the set, we did with the dictionary. Now what else? Another one important thing left out is a string. So what can iteration over string? How can we iterate over the string? So what happens, like if I use with the string, so what happens actually, this message, it is something like that. Like, so when I say give message here, so it will create like, so this is something like it may not be like string here. So it will create a list of that. So it is something like if I have to give the similar example, how it will execute actually, let me do this way actually. So list of message, like, so if I define message here, let me define message here. So if I define message here and I'm trying to convert message into list, so and I'm trying to print, actually if I'm trying to print, so now this is up to like this, actually it will be something a list of these individual characters. So when I say for char in message, so this is something, it looks like something like this. So what happens actually, this char will take one value, one character from this, and it will try to print, and I'm trying to print that. So no, that is how I'm trying to print. So if you see, actually that is how like one characters are printed. So this is a list, it as a string iteration using for loop. Any question?
No, sir.
Okay, so fine. So what are the objectives of for loop? For loop is used to iterate something and do a lot of operations. Like, so two ways you can, this also like you can do iteration using that range and all those things, but I'm not trying to explain because one I explained, so you can try to do. So you can take that assignment the way I have iterated the string. No, so once using the membership function and another using the range and length function. So you should also try that iterating using range and length for all the things what I have so far I told. So you can try to do that actually. So fine. The another thing, another advantage is not only that we can do here the iteration, we can also apply the some kind of string functions, like upper means like convert every letter into uppercase letter. Lower means like everything it will convert into lowercase letter. Means like now what is this actually, like it is something similar to that. I'm trying to convert every letter into uppercase letter, and then I'm trying to create a list of individual characters, and then I'm trying to iterate over. Means like char will take one value and I'm trying to print it. So this is the thing we are trying to using the for loop. So any question here? Okay. The next thing is actually what value other kind of operations are there. Like, so one. Yeah.
इधर से चल.
Hello. Any question? Please mute. Okay. Okay. What I will be doing? Okay, for loop is done, and another thing. No, so sometimes what happens actually, like loop, sometimes it doesn't enter into loop. So for example, if I do some kind of operation, like let me do this code edit actually. So now if I do something like this, so what happens actually, so you won't able to see because nothing is printed. Means like you don't know that like whether you entered the code. Visually you can see, but if nothing is happened actually, let me do the other way around. Let me edit this. So I will start with 1 and I will end with 2. So see, if there is no output is there, so visually if you see that like it is going on, but if there is nothing is there, you don't understood whether it went inside the for loop or it was just jumped out of the for loop. So sometimes such questions will come because of the whatever you are trying to look into. Maybe empty list or empty or may not be matching the criteria, whatever it may be. So I don't understood whether this, because visually if you see, then you can see that okay, it is going inside the for loop. But if there is no output there, so see here it is fine. So here you can see that like okay, something is happening. But the same thing if I try to run here, you don't understand whether it went inside or not. Like how it looks like. So you see, if I run this one actually, so it executes, but I won't see anything there. So if I'm not seeing anything, then you won't understand whether it went inside or not. So for that, actually, like if you wanted to make sure that like it enters and comes out of the for loop, they have provided another thing that is called else thing. So what we will be doing? So there is something like a else also there, like one kind of like the syntax I will try to show. So the syntax is actually this is a for and there is something like a else. So this is a for block and this is else block. So this is the syntax of that. So what I'm trying to do is actually I wanted to see that like whether it went inside and not inside, that I wanted to say. So now I will be saying that like, so I will be saying here that like I am completed. So what happens actually, even if it doesn't print anything, so at least while coming out of the loop, okay, it went inside and everything is done, but maybe it may not be done anything, but still it looped everything so many times whatever you were said asked for. And then while coming out of the for loop, it will go to the else portion. So when coming out of the for loop, then it will go to the else portion and do whatever it is there in the else portion. And in the else portion, I'm completed the for loop. I'm saying it's like at least now I'm confident that it went inside and then does something. Even though maybe something there is no issue with the loop, but maybe something inside the loop, maybe the for loop may be issue. But it actually it went inside the for loop. So that is what to make sure that I'm trying to. That is one reason. Another reason is actually like if you are allocated some memory or open some file or open some sockets, you don't understand memory sockets, something, it's fine. Later on we'll be discussing what is in the memory file, sockets and all those things. If you open that and if you without closing the file, then it will be very difficult. No, so when after you opening them, and when you are coming out of the for loop, you wanted to close everything. Okay, I have opened that and use the file or like connection to database or everything I have done. Now I want to come out of the for loop. Now before coming out of the for loop, like I wanted to close them. I wanted to close them or do something, those kind of things, activities. Then the else portion also useful. So that for that two reason, the else portion is there. So any question about else portion? Why the else portion is there? Okay. So how the else works, I already explained. So now, so we'll run again. So any question here? Okay. The another two more elements, what is provided is one something called a break, another one something called a continue. What is a break and continue? So what happens now? Sometimes no, I don't know how many times I should be iterating. I was looking for some kind of a specific case, and after that specific case is got, then I will break it actually. So for example, in the case of prime number or not. So for example, if I'm trying to iterate, so I'm trying to iterate some list. So for example, user has given a list of elements. So like 2, 3, and 4, something that like a 5. So I am trying to see that like all this list is consist of all elements prime or not. So what I'll be doing? So to decide all prime means I should be checking all the numbers. I should be checking all the numbers. Then only I can say. So I have to iterate. I have to check this prime, this is prime, this is prime, this is prime. If everything is prime, then I say that like this list is list of prime. I will say that this list is list of prime numbers. But if I have to call this list doesn't have all prime numbers, so some non-prime also there. So then I will check this one. I will check this one. And as and when I found something, then I will say that okay, I already got no one non-prime is like this doesn't consist all prime, correct? So I will be breaking it actually. No need to continue this iteration. So means like for loop cannot, no need to take next value and check actually, because already I found one element which is not prime, and I can classify this list as, I can say this list is not all elements are in this list as prime. So some non-prime numbers also there. So I need to break it actually, no need to continue. To do support that, they have introduced something called a break. So what is actually, in this case, what I'm trying to do is list is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as and when I found one even number, now here I'm not checking the primary. As and when I'm trying to check even number, I'm breaking it actually. So because I found, so I wanted to find actually anything is there in the list which is odd even number. So that is how I'm trying to break. So first one, when it comes to one, so one is odd. When second number is 2, so that is even. So I'm trying to break. So I'm breaking and coming out of the for loop. So I'm not continuing further. So for example, this is also not even number. It will see, you assume that like this is another 3. So now what happens actually? It will go up to 4. So 1, 2 to 3, then it will break at 4. So even that is also not the something like, so then it will complete. So that is how it will be. Say for example, if that is also not the thing, so then it will complete actually. So it will say that like everything. So it doesn't break. Entire iteration will be done. So sometimes you need to break, sometimes you need to break, depending on certain kind of a condition. Then you need to use something called a break. So what actually, whenever you say hit the break, then you will be completely coming out. It's like iteration will be stopped. So iteration will be stopped, you will be coming out of the loop. Let me, if you visually, if you wanted to see actually how things works actually, you can also try putting here. So let me, yeah. After sometimes it will come out of that. So you want to see, let me do here. This I will put 4. Okay. So this is how it works. So it creates a list. Now it is there. Element 1 will, first element will be 1. So now the prime or not. So it is odd number, it will print. Then it will take second element. That element is 3. Now it checks if the prime or not. Then it comes to there, it prints there. Then the third element also 3. So now it will take then odd. Then fourth element, if it takes, what happens actually? Fourth element is a even number. Now it comes out there. So it says actually it is even number. Now prints break. Now here break is the BREK, break is actually it will come out of the for loop. So this, so after that, like it is not continuing iteration. From this point completely exists the for loop. This is how break works. Any question here? Okay. Okay, next one is actually we will be break we have done. So now we will be discussing about continue. What is continue? So continue is actually like, so for example, if I'm trying to count, any oval in a something, so it's like oval, you know, correct? No, oval, A, E, I, O, U. So in the string, I am trying to count how many ovals are there. So assume that like I got a consonant, not a vowel. So I'm not incrementing count. So just continue, skip that thing. Certain statement, I should be skipping that. Means like, for example, here I'm checking it is vowel or not. If it is not vowel, then I'm not doing that. Like I will continue there. So just if it is not, then continue. Else what I'll be doing, I'll be counting. Okay, I found one oval. So that is how I should be doing. To do, sometimes we need break, sometimes we need to cut it, because I need to complete it. I have to check entire thing. No need to break there, but some if it is not oval, then no need to count. If it is oval, then I need to count actually. So for that kind of scenarios, we need to have something like a continue. So what is that continue does actually? Like let me show this actually. I'm trying to do something search here, I, not the one. I'm trying to search here, I. So let me show visually here. So how it executes. So now this is a string, no, one character. So if you see here, actually the one character, first character is S. So it will check whether it is S is equal to I. If it is equal to, then if it is not equal to, then I'm trying to print. So it's like I'm trying to print. So if it is next, I'm trying to check whether value is equal to I. If it is I, I'm trying to continue. It's like I don't want to print that I. So fine. So now I'm trying to continue. So whenever I got I, so I got R. Now I will be getting I. So now you see here actually. Now I will be checking it's yes. It goes to continue. Then it skips actually. So this further things are skipped directly. Continuous, like it will go and again start. So after this statement, whatever statements are there, all those statements will be skipped. All those statements will be skipped and it will come back to the for loop. So this is all the continuation. So it's like it is not breaking out, but it is skipping certain kind of statements after that continue there, whatever that after that continues there. So everything will be skipped. So that is a continuation. So any question here about continue? So okay. Then the another one keyword is pass. What is a pass actually? Sometimes what happens, no, you say no, tell me the question answer. No, you say sir, pass sir. You ask another person something like correct, or like oh I don't have something like you pass. So something pass is something similar to that pass. It's like I don't have anything, just you pass. Like maybe I can do later on. So once like where it will be used. For example, if you are writing a for loop or something, but you don't have logic there. So if you just leave in between, so for example, you don't have a logic there. So something like this. So you have a sequence you created, but you are not able to visualize what I should be doing with the val. So I got the val will take one value, but using that, what I should do, I don't understand, but I wanted to continue the further programming, but later on I will come revisit actually. So that time, if you leave like that only without writing some the full for loop, it will be error. So if what you will be, you will be using something like a pass. So it's like, okay, by time being, you don't look into, I will add this later on. So pass, no, I don't have answer right now, pass. Maybe after when you go on one round, then you come back, then I may be having answer, then I may be having some question, that time I'll ask you. So something like you do pass, correct? So something that like, so it's like, this is in this giving instruction to the interpreter or compiler saying that like, okay, don't consider this as an error. So I'm just skipping this. Maybe I will fill this later on. So it is considered this is a valid kind of statement and then you continue. So that is what is the pass does. So any question here? Okay, these are the key things we looked into. So what we will be doing, so we completed this for loop. So we'll take 5-10 minutes break and then we will continue with the while loop. So we'll come we do complete the while loop, and then since like for loop we can understood now, while loop will take very less time, and after that we will do another one. So we'll take 5 minutes break and then we'll continue with while. So we start now.
Yes, sir.
So now we look into one looping kind of thing, one for loop. Now we look into another loop concept, what is called while. So while, if you say that like what is while? So while I am ready, just wait for something or something. You will say no. While I am getting ready, please do this. This is something. It's like till some extent. It's like in day to day we know. While I'm getting ready, can you do this activity or that activity? It's like that wait is up to certain kind of condition. It's like till this condition is met, till that condition is met, uh, valid. So you should do that something. So based on that only, there is some other kind of looping case that is called while loop. So what is the structure of this while loop actually? If you look at actually, while I is less than or equal to n, means like while this condition I is less than or equal to n, means like till this condition is true, you should be executing it. When this condition is first, it's like while I am doing istri or like I am while taking bath, can you cook? It's like that condition is valid till you are taking bath. It's like till that condition is true, you are trying to do. So that is what how the structure looks like. So this is it's like we will be trying to do these activities till certain condition are met. So if you see the diagram, actually how it looks like. So this is how the structure looks. It's like till this condition is true. So check the condition initially. If this condition is still true, so you will keep on executing the statement. When this condition becomes false, you will come out of the while loop. So till that, like so till this condition is true, it's like you will be executing. When that condition becomes false, you will come out of the while loop. And the syntax is while and what is that condition? So that expression, which expression you are trying to check it, that expression and the colon and the body, It may be one statement, it may be multiple statements. So many number of statements is possible. This is a structure of while loop. So this is structure of the while loop. Now, where exactly I can be using? So if, for example, if I said no same thing, so I did number of elements, sum of elements in the list. So if I'm trying to do so, add the natural numbers up to some numbers. So if user is giving some that number, so you sum all the natural numbers up to 10 or up to 20 or 100, whatever you are trying to do. To execute that, we need some looping. So you can use while or you can use for loop, but while is far better because I'm trying to check that condition. So directly I will use whatever the value you are trying to do, directly I will be using that. So means like I will be doing what actually? First I will be reading the user input. So for example, here what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to user input, and if user is giving number 100, so means like this n is becomes 100. Now this n becomes 100. Now sum becomes 0, then I is equal to 1. It's like I should be iterating up to 100. So here there is no automatic. So I am initializing I is equal to 0, and this I you should be executing till I becomes this n, up to I becomes n. So till that extent I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do? Sum. So whatever the element, whatever the number, what I'm trying to get actually, because I have to iterate over that I value I'm trying to calculate. It's like what I'm trying to do is actually. So for example, if I have to do up to 5, assume that like I wanted to sum up to 5. It's like 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If I am trying to execute, so what I will be doing? Okay, so I given n is equal to 5. So means like no, what I'm initially like initialize sum is equal to 0 because initially sum is equal to 0, and I will start from 1 because when I say n is equal to 5 means like natural number starts from 1, correct? So up to this one. So I is equal to 1. Now what I will be doing? I will be looping. So how I will be looping? This I less than or equal to n or 5. So now what I will be doing? So now sum is equal to sum plus 1. So I sum plus 1 is like I. So what happens actually? Initially I is equal to 1. Now I'm adding that. Now somewhere else I should be incrementing this I. So I is equal to I will be doing I plus 1. So then only this I will be incremented, it will come out of the loop. If you are missing to do this actually, this will go in infinite loop because I will be keep on, I will be always will be 1 and I will always will be less than 5. So somewhere else this has to be there. So I'm trying to do sum is equal to sum and I'm incrementing I, and again this is the two statements are part of the while loop. So this is how I'm trying to calculate the sum of the number. This is what I'm trying to do. So this update counter is very, very essential here. Update counter is very, very essential because this counter will make after some time the while loop condition becomes false. Because if you are not having means like there is no chance of this condition becoming false. Always will be true. So somewhere else you should be having some number to update or modify on which the condition is lies on. So if you are not using that, then loop will be infinite. So this is how I'm trying to write a while loop. So if you miss anything there, so same thing like indentation, everything is same. Only thing is actually here I'm using with the actual number, not using the range or length or membership function. All those things I'm not doing there as per, like for loop. And I also need this one because this has to be incremented. It is something more or less similar to C kind of programming structure actually. So any question here? Any question on the while loop? So now, just like a for loop, while loop also will be having else condition. Else condition is like whenever there is you are going out of the loop, so it will enter the else portion and it will execute. So I just wanted to see that like whether it is going inside or just coming out of that. So lot of time inside loop. Whenever that counter is or like condition becomes false, then it will come to the else portion and it will print that actually. So same way what we have done for loop. So while is also same thing. So and another thing what we can think about actually, even for while, nested while loop, nested for loop, nested while and for loop, all combination is possible. It is not that like only one while loop is possible. So you can have any kind of combination. For and while or while or for while above and for inside or for while all any kind of combination nested combination is possible. So it doesn't allow it doesn't restrict you. So you can have. So in this case, what I'm trying to do actually, I'm trying to have two while statements. So one is actually it is trying to consider if I is greater than 0, then I'm trying to do something. So if I'm trying to do I is greater than 0, somewhere else I need to have some statement which will modify the I. So where is that actually? This is where I'm trying to modify, or else like this will go infinite. And now I'm checking j is equal to 2. Then somewhere else I should have the statement which will modify j. So this is where the statement. So it should be within this for loop. It should not be outside that for loop. So then only the j is updated. So only these two conditions you should look into, because or else like it will go in infinite for loop. So sorry, while loop. So wherever whatever the I'm trying to use there is something. Remaining over is fine. And another thing we should notice actually, see this whole is the block of while, first while, and this much is the block of while, the second inner while. So this is all statements are belongs to the outer while. So we will call outer while. This is called inner while. So these statements are part of the inner while. How I decide that? Based on the indentation. So because if there is a cab here from the starting point, then all those statements belongs to this while. And this colon and this indentation is very, very essential. Any question here? The way I did for while loop, I did for the for loop. So things is possible. So you can do. So this is about basics about for loop and while loop. Any question here?
No questions, sir.
See, since like I have took lot of time in for loop, so while loop is something similar to that. No? So just only the how it has to be calculated, I have finished fast. So now what I will be doing is actually I will be trying to do some examples. So for example, count the number of vowels in a given string. If given string is given, how should I count a number? So you have to do some kind of things. So how should I do? So whenever I'm saying that like count the vowels, so you should be doing two things. One is a string you are anyhow assigning. Then you should create one more list, something like vowel list. So wherever that vowels are there. Now, if I'm trying to do only small case letter, then if the string may have capital or small case kind of things, you should think about actually somewhere else I should be making that string into lower case. So this is where I'm trying to do. If I'm not doing this one, it's like this, even though this A is capital is oval, but this small and capital doesn't match. So it say that like no, this is not oval. So if you are using only one case, then you have to convert everything of that case. So that is what I have done this one. So this is one important thing you should strike immediately whenever I say that I have to count number of ovals. It's like I should create a list of ovals. This is the first thing. And the second thing you should strike actually, I should make that input string as lowercase because both same cases, or else I will do logical error. So these two things you should strike. And since whenever the count given in a string or something, so string iteration I'm trying to do. It's like either you can use for loop, either you can do while loop, whatever it may be. So for loop is much more easier because automatically I will get one value because I need to compare. No, I need to compare each character as whether it is oval or not. Then for loop is much more suitable compared to while loop. So I will be using for loop. So these things you should strike to you whenever you read the problem statement. These things you should strike to you. Oh, okay. So count something, then one loop has to be there. Now you need to decide whether it is a for loop or while loop. So now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to count over. Means like I need to compare one character to another character. Means like I should get the character one by input character. Oh, then for loop is far better than that. So you should get that. And then you should get that, like I said, no, you have to create one list and you have to lower. These are all things you should strike. How you will get to that actually? If you to practice more and more problems actually, then you will get that very easily. You will get it, but initially it will take a lot of time to get that things. So fine. So how I'm trying to do? No, see this is all understood, correct? So now since I have to count somewhere else, I should be count is equal to 0 because initially count will be 0. Then I will keep on incrementing. So now count is equal to 0. Then I have this is the input string. So this is the over I created. Count is equal to 0. Now I will be writing for loop.
So now I have to lowercase this one and in function, and this is I. I will take one value from this input string. Now what I will be doing, if this string is part of this list, so if this string, this character is part of this list, actually means this is a whole. So this is a whole means like what I should be doing, I will be counting. Oh, I found one whole, then I will be incrementing count. If not part of that means like that is not a whole, so I'm not doing anything. So this is a logic for counting the number of ovals in a string. Any question here?
No, sir.
So another one. So I'm trying to do some actually, and I'm trying to do some as assignment, because you should also try to do, because everything if I'm trying to do, if you're not practicing, then it is not also useful to you. So now another problem thing, all our problem what we're looking is actually in for loop or while loop. So skip the first two characters in a given string. So if I have to skip first two characters from the given string actually, then you can use what is called list for or while, but I'm trying to use the for because it is much more easier. No, automatically whenever there is a string is or iteration string is much more easier for me if using for loop. So what I'm trying to do, I have to skip. So how many times I should be skipping? 2. So somewhere else I should be able to count how many times I should be skipping. So then I have count is equal to 0. So this count is equal to 0, and I'm trying to check whether count is less than equal to 2, because if less than 2, then I should be skipping it. So I will be incrementing count, and skipping means like I'm not printing that. I should be using continue. Because else I should be printing that. So else means like only first two characters of the string should not be printed. Means like skip print statement should be skipped. Means like when print statement should be skipped means continue I should be using. So it should strike your mind. Continue I should be using, because whenever something has to be skipped, or break at the some break, when you found something and then you break, then break has to be found. Means like if the condition is met, you have to come out of the loop means like the break has to be there. If some condition, till that condition, something has to be skipped means like continue has to come. So this has to strike your mind. So here I'm using this continue because I have to skip. So how many times I should be skipping? First 2 letters. So it can be anything. So if you wanted to say that like first 3 letters, 4 letter of anything, only this value. So only this. And good practice is actually instead of hard coding this number, if you wanted to say that like how many letters, like something that like another variable is say number of letters, then number of letters to skip. So to skip is something that like if you say then if you assign 2, so you can check with that also. So this is far better than just hard coding any number. This is a much more better way of writing, because what happens next time if I have to say that like skip 8 letters, then I should be only changing here. If it's a skip 4 letters, like I should be only changing here. So skip 3 means like I should change it. Or like if you wanted to make further thing or dynamically think actually, so means like you should be reading that actually. That means like dynamic means like you should be reading from the user thing. So how should you be doing then? So you should be I'm just commenting this actually. So then you should be using input here. So int, then input. So I will be input. Then I should be saying that like how many letters to be skipped. So now what happens actually, I'm trying to read from the user. So this is much more dynamic in nature. So it's like I'm saying here 3. So instead of hard coding, so it will execute. So Pragna, no, PRA is 3. So G and from G starts. So if you wanted to run the something, so I want to skip up to 6 letter. So then after that, like so 6 is N and something will be printed. So this is how it's like. So you write some small code and you try to use whatever the things you are not, you know how to do input, how to know output, for loop, while loop. You can keep on customizing. No, this is I have written for loop, how to convert into while loop. So this is what another assignment. What are the things I have written using for loop to try to convert into while loop. This is things you should start practice. How many times you practice, that much better you will be there in writing programming. So any other questions here? So I'm giving converting, like if I've written in for loop, you should be converting into while loop. So that you do. And another thing is actually print the series of odd numbers till 30. And if X is greater than 30, then error message. So this one you should be writing. This is the assignment for you. And print first word in a given string without using string methods. Means like you are not using directly string methods. There are Python gives so many string methods. You can do that very easily, but without using. So I'm trying to say that without using that, you should be writing. And print all factors of a number in the range 1 to 10. If it's in the range, so automatically you should understand that like this is range you should be using and for loop you should be using. So then you already know that actually what you are trying to create. So this is the code. So I anyhow have written here, but that may be also will be assignment. What is the factors? Means like for every number you should be calculating factors. Means like how we will be finding factors of a number. I'll to just hint you that actually. If I have to say factors of a number 2, then I will check whether it is divisible 1. Then it will be whether it is so 2. Okay, this is the final. Okay, 1 and 2 this time. If it is I am trying to find out a factor of 8, then I will check 1 is a factor, 2 is factor, 3 is factor, 4 is a factor or not. So up to 8. So I will be checking. So which all the numbers will be divisible because above 8 is not possible to divide, correct? So all these number 1 to up to that number, which all the numbers are dividing that 8 will be factor of that 8. So as per that, like so 1 to 8 always by default they will be factor. So 2 will also be factor and 4 will also be the factor. So these 4 will be the factors of 8. These 4 numbers will be the factors of 8. So you should. So 1 is actually I have to iterate over 1 to 10. Means like we need 1 to 10. I should be iterate over. Means like I need one for loop to iterate 1 to 10. And for each one number, I should be iterating from 1 to that number. Means like I may need another for loop. So for this problem statement, you should be able to figure out actually we need 2 for loops. So these are the things you should be able to figure out. Any questions here?
No, sir.
Okay. So what we will do, we have done actually the things. So this is the assignment. This is also another assignment. This is also assignment. These are the assignments I have given. So now for loop and while loop is done. So few assignments I have given. So I will upload this code actually. So you should be able to complete. So if you are able to complete without referring anywhere, without Googling out actually, if you are able to write the code properly, then I understand that like you understood for loop and while loop properly. So these are the assignments is there in this code. Any question here? If there is no question, then we will end here. What I will be doing actually, like I will take 5 minutes back because I will start another one that is import function. That is also very short one. So I will complete that. So I'll just close this because I wanted to record that as a separate video. So fine. Just I'm stopping it actually. What I will do now, I will exit this meeting and again I will start that meeting, correct? So 5 minutes back. So I will be exiting and within 5 minutes I will be coming back. Because then only that video will be downloaded. Fine. So 5:35 or 5:40 will start. That other one will take only 20 minutes. So within 6 o'clock we'll be completing.